text them.
They can do it. That's what I said. I know, that's right. That's a good sound.
We got it on? Yep. Awesome. All right, 6:03. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing on the budget. Gail, if you want to give us an overview.
So tonight we're here to present the final budget for fiscal year 23. And the hearing is here to accept any, I have not received any written or oral comments about tonight. So this budget that is on the table tonight has not changed since the last time we had a board meeting in March. So it reflects a levy of about 15 cents less than a year ago. And so I did do a presentation a little bit. I will briefly just go through this a little bit and talk about some highlights and some reminders. First of all, the district budget, the main driver of the district budget is enrollment. And there are different types of enrollment. Within that enrollment, there's different types of categories within enrollment that makes the district cost per pupil and the spending calculation within our budget. The head count is made up of different things such as special ed weightings, supplemental weightings, ELL, teaching, shared, preschool is within the enrollment. And then within the budget we are building spending authority. And spending authority basically is the limit of the total spending calculation. It's a simple calculation of the number of students times the cost per pupil. And sometimes this is known as our credit card limit. That might sound familiar to some of you if you've gone to a school finance. And overall, because Gilbert had an increase of enrollment this past year, our spending authority increased by $498,977 and 4.5% increase prior year compared to prior fiscal year 22. And up here, the spending authority is calculated by a lot of different areas to come up with spending authority. And this is in the Dropbox, so you can go refer back to it at any time. Then goes into each category within the spending authority. And within our spending authority, we've talked about this. One of the challenges that Gilbert has is our ability to tax for cash reserves. And cash reserves, we have a limit of, cash reserves is a total tax levy, totally made up of taxes. And we use it for special ed deficits, we use it for on-time funding and ELL. And it's basically your fund balance the fund balance has to be 20% or less. Otherwise, we don't have the authority to tax. And we are getting our ability to tax for cash reserve has been going down because we are in such a good financial position. So we do have a plan to try to manage this and bring this back so we can have a cash reserve higher in the future. And so we're addressing that. And the only way we can do that is to drive down the fund balance and increase our expenditures. And in our 5-year long range plan, we are doing that, and we have talked about that is our goal to address that in the future within short-term goals. And then overall, in the general fund, the funding per student is paid for by a combination of local property tax dollars and state aid. And so within that general fund property tax, we have the uniform levy and the additional levies. We have the instructional support levy, and again, the cash reserve levy that I just discussed. So overall, general fund levy decreased. And the main reason for this, again, cash reserve, straight property taxes. Our ability to do that has decreased. And there are levies outside of the general fund levy. And the general fund levy is basically used to pay for all costs of our salaries for teachers, our anything to do with educating our students. And then outside of that, we have the management fund, the PEPL management fund is to pay for our insurance, our district insurance package, PEPL fund, and we do not have the Pearl PEPL fund is to pay for equipment, projects, and technology, and big equipment. Activity fund is, we know that as basically all of our athletics, all of our special programs as FFA, individual student council, all those activities. Capital projects is basically construction. We have a construction project. Debt service is basically our fund that we manage and pay for our debt. Nutrition funds, and that's basically, that does not have any taxes. That is, we treat that as a business. And sales tax, which is known as our SAVE funds. Sales tax has the exact same revenues as our 1 cent penny or SAVE, and then expenditures are exactly the purposes as our PEPL fund. And so with all those together, the general fund levy and then all the other non-general fund levies, we have a total property tax rate. And for this year, it's 17.05. Last year was 17.20. So we have a decrease of about 15 cents. Pretty much everything remains the same for that levy, other than that general fund has decreased. And as a board, your job tonight is to set the levy limit and the levy rate, and then make sure throughout the school year we do not expense or overspend these 4 areas. And we have a report for that we look at every month. And if we anticipate, for example, it's on our board agenda tonight to amend the current year because we refinanced. So we will overspend. So we just take it to the board meeting in May. We publish, have another public hearing for the current year, and amend our budget. So that is for tonight, for when we have our budget approval. Overall, very similar, other than the general fund levy decreases a little bit, and the effects overall decreases 15 cents.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you very
And
much.
I haven't received any emails on
Okay.
any comments.
Any additional public input on the proposed 22-23 budget? All right, with none being heard, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the public hearing, 6:11, Gail. And we will go into our regularly scheduled meeting. Go ahead and call this to order. Roll call, please.
Bennett?
Here.
Tyler?
Here.
Alex?
Here.
Jeff? Okay. Andrew?
Here.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Alex first, do a second.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, agenda passed, and we are on to public forum, and I believe we've got Gilbert Events here to speak. Brad and Sherry, you guys gonna talk? And Teresa, come on up. Real quick on the public forum, board cannot address you during the public forum, so you can speak to us, but during the, you're not able to speak back during public forum.
Can I get
In
to it?
about 5 minutes, of course, yes. About 5 minutes of time, Sherry.
Okay, 5 minutes.
Yep.
Okay, so Gilbert Days is an event that has happened in the community for years. And Brad had heard that it may not happen this year. So he put a group together to try to coordinate the event and be able to make it happen. It's a wonderful community event and just feels like something that should keep happening around here. One of the changes, though, is to move it to Main Street versus having it at the fire station. And the reason why we wanted to talk to you guys was to see if the school district would be willing to let us use some school property for some of the events, which has happened in the past. So when it was at the fire station, the high school parking lot was used for the tractor show and car show. What we're proposing this year, since we'll be on Main Street with the event, is using the parking lot here on the west side of the building for the tractor show and parking at the middle school, potentially the high school for attendees of the event, and then being able to trolley or shuttle people to Main Street from those parking lots. So that would be one thing, would be using the lots for parking and event space. The other thing would be enlisting the support of district teams, clubs and activity participants to either have booths at the event or, volunteer for different activities at the event. Like in past years, there's been a fun run, and the fun run was coordinated by the cross country team, and funds from that was generally used to support the Backpack Buddies program. That is one example of an event that we would like the district teams or whatever activity clubs to help participate in. Other thoughts of activities?
That there's a fundraiser breakfast that may be cheerleading or FFA or somebody that can sponsor that, share that sponsorship fundraising ability. So just throughout the whole day,
Brad did visit with the city council and they have approved the event, so we do have their blessing. And the date is on the top of the handout that I given to you guys. It's changed, it's shifted 1 week. It was normally the last week of July. Now we're looking at August 4th and 5th, a Friday and Saturday event. Comments? We weren't 100% sure if this is typically something that we needed to ask, as far as having sports teams and clubs and stuff participate in the event, but we wanted to ask because we would really love the district's support for this and bring back a big community feel and hope that the district could participate and encourage the participation of the student body.
Thank you. Great job putting this together. I know it's a fun event. I'm sure we'll be discussing it. Boss over there, I'll take care of it. So,
I'd just like to, let's make sure Gail has your information. And then I'll reach out and we can continue this to see how we can.
but thanks for organizing all this. That's great work. It looks really, really fun. So,
I'm just curious what the city council conversation, they're supportive, but they just, if this prior to you stepping in, they weren't going to host it.
Last year, the fire station, Brent just said that they weren't gonna do it anymore. They just asked if Marissa Mullenbach and I would take it over. So that's how it got started.
Okay.
And I asked, I don't know, there's 10 or 12 of us so far. A lot of business owners and stuff that are trying to do it. So there's a lot of people involved so far. The city was fine with everything,
As long as they didn't have to do much.
pretty much.
Got it. I think it's great.
Great event. I think it's
Thanks for
awesome, too.
bringing it
Yeah,
forward to us.
great
too.
job. All right, on to oral reports. Announcement celebrations. We've got Costa Rica trip presentation. I think. Oh, I see a crew in the back.
Carolyn Miller is here with her students to talk about the wonderful opportunity that they had over spring break. I'm sure they have lots of stories, but just with a little bit of time, they're gonna give us a snapshot. But thank you so much for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Great. I don't want to talk very much, but again, yes, I'm Carolyn Miller. I teach at the high school. This is my 4th time taking students to Costa Rica. We usually travel every other year. I'm gonna let them tell you why. I mean, I know why I think it's important for students, but I'm gonna let them talk to you. We also have some parents along with us tonight as well. So, and they're gonna kind of be looking, Ms. Hopkins at the screen here just a little bit so they can see where our pictures are and what they want to share. So again, you guys, just a brief time, all right?
Want to get started?
All right, this is a photo of us. So we went to Tortuguero, which is right on the coast of the Caribbean Sea. And to get there, we had to take these little canal-looking boats, obviously that you can see in the background, that we had to put all of our luggage on. We may have overpacked a little bit. But yeah, we took these boats to get, it was about an hour and a half because the river was very low to get there. But once we got there, we had an amazing time. So.
We met a really cool dude named Kevin. He was our tour guide. And the picture on the top left was of the banana plantation. And yeah.
Kevin actually lives in Tortuguero where we were staying. So he showed us around where there's many shops where we could do some shopping, learn about their culture, how they live. They don't, everything they get and import is from boats. So he told us about that. This is actually our hammocks, and you can kind of see in the top right, the ocean was right outside our hotel. So we got that nice breeze. We kind of learned, we learned about sea turtles. They had a sea turtle museum type research center there, so we learned about that for quite a while. And then in the background here, that's actually a playground at the school. Not yet. Okay. It's just a playground that they have. Late at night, we walk from the shops back to our hotel. We walk through with them late at night, playing soccer because that's what they do. It's keep time when they're not at school. And so then we were there on the weekend, so they weren't really in school for the Sunday. So we kind of, got to meet a lot more people. And
This is just him showing us the turtles and how they would lay their eggs. And when they bury them, and then they just leave and wait for the little baby turtles just go out on their own.
My favorite part about the trip was how immersed we were in the culture. We got to talk to a lot of people who lived there and natives, and learn a lot about Costa Rica as a country as a whole. And I spoke a lot more Spanish than I thought I would, which was super fun, and I remembered a lot more. So.
This is us by the ocean, and then we're walking in town, and everybody in town is just super nice for welcoming. They're used to a lot of tourists, so they were happy to see us, talk to us and everything. So yeah.
it also surprised us the amount of English they knew as well.
We ended up going to a school, and I thought it was pretty interesting how just how it's at their school and how just giving them a sticker made their day 100 times better. And that how we spoke Spanish to them, but how well they knew English already too, as and then we traveled to Cerro Key, and that's where we had our pineapple tour when we went there. So we rode that little trailer thingy, and then a tractor guy pulled us. And then we have all of us got to pick pineapples, so that was really fun. He taught us how to break it off. And he's showing us in that picture how he cuts it open for us, and then he would let us just eat it. I don't even know how many pineapples he let us eat, but he cut a lot right in front of us. That was really fun.
We learned how they plant, so they cut off the crown and plant those back into the seeds, and then over, I think it was a year and a half, 2 years, create some more pineapple.
This was like our night, we had a frog night walk tour when we got there, so those couple pictures are some of the frogs we saw. And then this is us eating dinner at one of our restaurants. That was at like our hotel, so that was really fun. Just some of the flowers we saw while we were there.
We saw a lot of wildlife that we don't have here in the US, which I thought was really fun to learn about.
We got within inches of a crocodile and came in.
We were safe, we were safe.
Just say feet. We got it within feet.
Yes, yes,
Feels a little
yes.
better.
And then we got surprised with the chocolate plantation, which was super fun, learning how they make it down there and how it grows.
Grounded our own beans.
And I forgot how much caffeine is in dark chocolate. The kids had a lot of dark chocolate. Yeah, they were very wired for a long time that day. But they went through the history piece, which was pretty amazing. Avery, you're on the slide.
Yes, I know.
Do you want to talk about Arna?
Yes, then we went to Arna, and that is obviously a volcano that we don't see here in Iowa. I don't know if you have any pictures, but we actually got to swim in a lake that was right at like the bottom of the volcano. The water was kind of cold, but also kind of warm depending on the area you were in. We got a kayak through that, took a little swim. Super cool, super pretty area.
And it is an active volcano. So we were actually really lucky that we got on a clear day. But then the kid said, "Oh, what's the clouds?" And she's like, "No, that's this active volcano smoke." So, and then at night you can actually see it spark. So.
Yeah, so this is us hiking. We stayed in a hotel we had a clear shot. We walked out onto our balcony of the volcano. And then they had hot springs, so we spent probably 3 hours in the hot springs playing with the mud.
I was under the volcano.
Here we went ziplining. We didn't get a lot of photos because many of us didn't want to take our phones. So like, oh gosh, we drop them right in the middle of. After this, we also went horseback riding. Super cool. There's not many places in Iowa you can kind of go horseback riding through with the mountains. Super dusty, super dry there. We each got our own individual horse. Nobody had to double up, which was nice. But we were also surprised, we're kind of a larger-ish group. So we only had enough. And then our final day, we went to the beach. So this is us. We spent about 2 hours there. There was lots of fish, lots of birds, lots of people. We could go into town to go shopping, but most of us were like, let's just enjoy our last day at the beach. And then we went into, was it like 20 minutes out from the beach? It's big shopping center that we spent a lot of time in, ate a lot of food, a lot of ice cream, very hot.
It's good to say we had ice cream all over. I think I had ice cream every day, probably multiple times a day. You could tell that was definitely something they ate a lot, just with like their temperature changes too. But it was just a different type of ice cream that we tasted, so it was so good.
This just shows you a map. So this trip that we've taken the last 2 years is called Coast to Coast because we're on the Caribbean seaside, and then we actually go all the way to the Pacific side. So the kids are able to see a lot of different, the geography and just how different mountain ranges are and things like that as well.
Yeah, on the Caribbean side, it's very more touristy, and then on the Pacific side, our tour guide told us, this is where people from the United States go and retire. It's so super warm. So.
Is that it? That is. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. That's just such a great experience for our kids, as you can see. And I really want to thank Carolyn Miller for putting that all together. And all the pieces that go together and the parents that were able to attend and the chaperones. And so thank you very much.
Think they need board oversight at some point?
That's right. Word should
We
go
need- we
along
need to
next
go.
year. That's
You're
right.
welcome anytime, 2024. Well, if you approve it. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Thank you
much.
for coming.
Yeah,
If I can do one last.
Yeah, please,
Of course.
please.
I have lived all over, spent several years living in Hawaii. Lots of pineapples, but this trip, we got to do more stuff integrated in the culture and in that pineapple tour. Of all the times I went to Dole, when we lived in Hawaii, we never got to do anything like that, where they let every kid pick a pineapple. Go to the cacao plantation and see it from, you saw the pictures, but see it from beginning to end, from where it comes off the tree all the way till it gets into a chocolate bar. Was just an incredible experience for the kids. And we spent a lot of, you saw that map, we spent a lot of time on the bus. But while that may not have been the most exciting part of the trip, what they got to see was how Costa Ricans live in every different part of the country. And my daughter said she wanted to make sure, I told everybody, just seeing how other people live was just an incredible part of the trip. When houses are big as this group of chairs right here, that is something I think they'll take away forever from this trip. So thank you, and
That's
thank you
great.
for doing it this year, and it was fantastic.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you.
Thanks, that's awesome. Such a great experience. Speaking of great experiences, that leads us right into our next celebration, which was prom. That was this last Saturday into Sunday evening. I just wanted to congratulate all of our students that attended, did such an amazing job, and with that comes the organization that takes place. Principal Mrs. Bassett, Assistant Principal Mr. Ronca, and our parents, amazing
Teresa, great job.
parents, Teresa and crew, if we say that, for the after prom as well. Our businesses that all donated, I had the opportunity to see all of it in action starting with the Grand March. The dance was incredible. The kids were all out there dancing, having a blast. The DJ did a terrific job. And then to go to the after prom. There were so many activities for the kids to do, so thank you for that. To walk around and just see kids really just having good, great fun with their friends was really incredible. I just thought it was, wonderfully decorated, well planned, and just a great opportunity for our kids. So thank you to everyone for that. So I know it takes a team, but it was still takes leadership to make that happen. So thank you for that. Which then leads us to another great celebration we had last week. As you probably hopefully saw on the news, we had the wonderful reveal of the she shed or the garden shed for our student Amy that was put together by our students in the class with Mr. Jones. And I asked Jason to show that Channel 13 video real quick because I think they tell it best. It's such a great story.
Shop class recently launched an ambitious project.
That's all right.
The Gilbert High School shop class recently launched an ambitious project to build something for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So little did the students know the impact their project would have on one of their own.
WHO 13's Roger Riley has the story.
A morning assembly at Gilbert High School was to celebrate the work the shop class had done building a she shed for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
But you're doing this for somebody who's gone through something that we can't imagine. With treatment, with the brainstem tumor and everything, life changing.
Where we were working hard, every day was 100%. Even days you want to goof off, everyone wanted to work hard because it's going to a person. This is someone's wish,
What these students did not know was they were building a shed for one of their own, a junior at Gilbert, Amy Dunn. Amy had been given 6 months to live battling a brain tumor. She drew her wish for a she shed in some detail out on paper. Now the excitement grew as the school found out who the shed was built for. But Amy only had the drawing of what she dreamed for. This was her first chance to see what had been built. But she also now has a new diagnosis for a full recovery. The shed was loaded up and taken to Amy's house in rural Boone County. On hand for this day is Amy's friend Anna. She's also a Make-A-Wish kid battling a brain tumor.
She really wanted to get me something to go in my she shed, so she got me this welcome mat. She's become my best friend for all of this. We have similar cases. Oh, Anna, she's been with the rug you got her in her shed. She's doing something.
From Boone County, Roger Riley, WHO 13 News.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation and the Ames Home Builders Association played big roles in this.
Yeah, how impressive that work that they did. It was really good.
And what an awesome thing. I think you receive more than you give sometimes. And I know a lot of the builders in the area, they really work hard to help those folks. And congratulations to She Shed. I'd be all, she shed.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So it was really an incredible day. It was a cold day out there, but lots of people involved with that, a true celebration. And I saw, I believe over the weekend, another business donated some chairs for her shed out front. So it continues to grow from there. So congratulations. And a big thank you to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And also when this project started, I remember in the beginning of the year, the principal at the time, Vic Vanderpool, called and said, hey, Make-A-Wish wants to do this. What do you think? So he was on board from the very beginning. So it takes a team to make all those things happen. So big thank you there. Also, I believe it was last week or the week before, we had our kindergarten roundup. And we had about 107 kindergartners come and enjoy their time in kindergarten and register. So we're very excited about that. Those are some good numbers and we look forward to anybody, if they miss kindergarten roundup, it's not a problem. They can just call the school. I'm sure the principal would take them on a tour and get signed up. There's still time. So congratulations to that grade. And it was wonderful to see our new young faces coming through the door and they were excited. So that's a celebration. And then two more, we, just so everyone's aware, the Iowa State football team is having their scrimmage at our Gilbert Fields this Friday at 5 o'clock. It was scheduled for last Friday, but changed due to weather. So we're looking forward to having them out there. And the last celebration, just so everyone's aware, next Saturday, this coming Saturday, our Gilbert Education Foundation is having their annual fundraiser. And so check out their website and there are auction items open now. If you're interested, if you can't go, you can still bid online. So be aware of that. So those are just a few of the many celebrations we have happening.
Great, thank you very much, Christine. On to admin report. Do we have any other celebrations or announcements? I guess before I go forward, or you got anything else? All right, admin reports, introduction of GEA negotiations team.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to just start off, and I'm going to have Curtis introduce his team here in just a minute. We had a very successful negotiation with with our GEA team that came to the table together to work together to come up with numbers so that we know moving forward. We settled, and I think it was all approved. It's in the packet today at a 4.1% total package. So we're very excited about that, but I couldn't be more grateful to the sense of teamwork that we had with our team from GEA. So Curtis Martinez kind of led the charge. So I'm going to introduce him and let him introduce the rest of the team and anything you want to say around that.
I'm Curtis Martinez, teach high school math here. This was my first year being in charge of negotiations. John Davis set it up for a number of years, so we set this up with it in the past. Amanda was new this year. Edward Charleston was also on the team. He could be here because of that. We did some research, trying to find comparable schools to come up with what we thought was fair, and also work with the district, realizing that we can't take all of the money because there's lots of other employees, there's other things. The school will try to get the best deal we could while at the same time being fair to the school district. I think it was Gail put in a lot of time to prepare things ahead of time. She was very helpful as far as meeting with who we did over how the spreadsheet worked, historical numbers, so we can have a common understanding. Dr. Trudeau would also work with us, that same purpose, getting that communication more further. And obviously, job serving on the board side of negotiations. We had good discussions, and reached a fair agreement. And I'll let.
Yeah, I'll just introduce myself in case those of you that haven't met me before. I'm Amanda Ostrom. This is my 5th year at the district. I teach 6th grade science, and it's a great place to be. So we're very fortunate to be part of this district.
And I'm Stephanie Klopke. This is my 15th year here. And I would echo what Curtis has said, and want to thank the people that helped the negotiations. I think it was a team effort, and the district loved it. They're feeling that way. So thank you for your support, and for our educators. That we definitely, when we put it out to the General Assembly, people felt that support, and so thank you for everything that you have done for this first leadership.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
I'll just say quick on that. I sat on the finance committee with Jeff and Christine, and you guys are great. It was kind of our first year. I know Christine's first year. I know John Davis was always kind of in the past with his retirement. So it was just kind of coming into this, I would say, new on both sides, and it went very smooth. And we said this in the meeting, I'll say it again, we hate the term negotiations. I mean, there's no hiding anything here. I mean, we're gonna, whatever we can to, help you guys out, and do whatever money's available. There's no games here, there's nothing being played. And it was a great meeting, I thought, and you guys are great to work with, and Christine did an awesome job for her first meeting, and I think it just kind of sets a tone for years to come. And that's the goal of all this. So we wouldn't be where we're at today without our teachers. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's your show. Let me sit back.
No, we're good. Next up is a review of the local wellness policy and progress. We have our director, Deb Purcell, here, our food services director, to talk us through that a little bit. So, Deb.
It's good to be back. We have not had a local wellness policy update now for 3 years. It was COVID, more COVID. And then last spring, when this 3-year analysis was due, we got letters from the state and said, why don't you take a waiver? And so we took a waiver. And so finally getting back into the swing of everything, Dee Dee and I met and looked at the wellness policy. We found out that this past year with COVID behind us, or well, let's hope it's behind us, it's on its way. We've really good things this year. We were able to get waivers. We continued school lunches. Yes, some menus were changed because of the wonderful supply chain management. That is not going to go away for us. It's here to stay for, I want to say, at least another 3 years is what it's looking like in the food industry. But we were able to look at how the community and the school interact with each other, the things we do together and the successes we have. What Dee Dee and I did is we also made a decision at the end of our meeting that we will go for what's called the gold practice with wellness policy. We'll start meeting twice a year, starting next October. With that, you will get a policy recommendation. There are some things we need to update in the policy itself. End of the school year is probably a good time to do it. We also need to add 2 more people to the committee. I'd like them to have some input before I just say, let's make this happen. We need a couple more voices. With that too, we looked at, we felt like negative debt, school lunch debt needs to be added into wellness at some level. We felt that also was a good spot for that to light, was with that committee, look at them and use that guidance from someone from each of the buildings and what we could do a little bit better with educating our students and also what we need to do and get ahead of that. But with that, we look at next year. I know this past year we did a project with Anderson Farms. This is probably one of the best that's not written well in here. We did a project with Anderson Farms. We bought corn for the whole, sweet corn for the whole district. Anderson Farms is just out here on County Line Road. He brought in fresh sweet corn that hadn't, of course, hadn't been shucked. So here at the intermediate school, They had 400 ears of corn that those kids got out here and shucked it themselves. We took the rest of it to the high school. I've never seen so many girls with worms in their hands in my life. I loved every minute of it growing up on a farm. But next year I want to apply that to a gold standard for farm to table, because we should have gotten that award this year. And it was because I didn't turn it in, but next year we'll get it. But got some good things going on. I look forward to presenting again on what we've got going on with wellness district-wide.
Is there any, I'll say farm to fork, but with our gardens out on the south end of the high school property, is there any?
I would love to have that fresh produce come in.
I know at one point the FFA was doing some stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For several years, we cucumbers and potatoes and things.
Yeah, might be something to circle back on. It's kind of, I mean, there's
Yes.
certainly a plot out there, so.
One of the things they do let us take into the school, of course, we can't take in a pre-cooked. If Jason made me cookies and he brought me 300 cookies from that he made at home, I couldn't take Jason's cookies, even though I like Jason. I couldn't take them. But if he went to Hy-Vee and bought them, I could take them. But one of their waivers is that we can take all the fresh produce that somebody wants to give us. So one of the things we did with, and again with the Anderson's farms, just because, just the localness, that they started growing watermelon and they did test plots on cantaloupe. So they actually donated the cantaloupes to us this first year. And I think at that time we started going through 15 to 20 watermelon a week. They didn't want the stuff that I could buy from Martin Brothers. They wanted the farm melon. So it works. So we're talking, I'm hoping that at some point there's a cooperative in this area, like they have in Polk County, where we can engage more in fresh.
Very good. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you for that report and all the work that you do in bringing food to our kids. Very important, and we appreciate it. Okay, the last report that I have here is just an open enrollment update. All I wanted to share with you is so you can see the latest chart. It is in the Dropbox there. As you can see, we're pretty much full, almost across the board. We have a couple spots and, you know, of course, kinder's still there, first grade. Some of those were a little over because when we approved siblings, that put the grade over just a smidge. So that's what we went ahead and did that. So that's how that felt and what that looks like. So I just wanted you to be aware of that and to know that, and then it's there if you have questions as we move forward. And
Just,
then, go
just
ahead.
on that,
Mhm.
so where are we sitting right now as far as kinder number of sections? 'Cause that was the one where we were flexible if we needed to go
Right.
more.
Right, so right now, based on my conversation with Stacy, we would need 18 more students to add that additional section. So that's a big number. I'm not sure we're gonna get there. So we're gonna just see what that looks like. I have a meeting with her this week to continue that conversation and see where we are. So it's there if we need it. I'm not sure we're going to need it. So that's kind of where we are. So a good question. Anything else about that? And I'm sorry to jump back for just a second. I forgot one big celebration is we did receive 7 STEM grants from Iowa Governor's STEM Advisory Council. We applied for 7 and received 7, including technology tools and professional development for teachers, and it's over $3,000. So we're excited about that. So that's good news too. Got my post-it here. So that's, oh, am I still going? And we're on to board reports. That me?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. Graduation's May 22nd. Do we have anything else on that?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. There we go.
Just so
That's a lot of
everyone knows
twos
the
there.
day. There's- In the gym. In the gym? Yeah, I think so. And then the next item, go ahead, question.
So do you have speakers lined up for?
I'm meeting with Cindy Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. I was gonna say tomorrow or Wednesday, where we're gonna have all that ironed out and we'll get back to you about that. Who's gonna be there? Any other questions about that? Okay. Then the next piece we wanted to just bring to your attention is we are having the annual employee recognition. It will be on Tuesday, May 31st, I believe, in the auditorium is where we typically have that. And I think this year we're gonna have a breakfast before that and then the awards, but I'm gonna ask Vic to talk. We have a couple of awards that we're adding this year. So Vic, if you'd like to share that with us.
Yeah, I think everybody knows it's been kind of a challenging couple of years for educators, and so we're looking for ways to kind of celebrate the wonderful things that our educators and staff do here. So we're going to add 2 recognitions awards. One of those is going to be the Excellence in Education Award. So teachers can nominate another teacher to receive the Excellent Education Award. They fill out. Nice thing is they'll be nominated by another cohort, which is pretty awesome. And then the second thing we're going to do is we're going to hold the Gilbert above and beyond for any staff member that works for the district that goes above and beyond to fulfill the mission of our district school district. So just a couple of ways to kind of celebrate each other, just doing the same things.
And above and beyond, is that chosen by the staff as well, or just
Yeah, any
administration?
staff member can nominate any staff member, and then we will actually have a committee that will review it. That will be involved with school employees, students, and parents. And then we'll give out the big celebration.
Good. Will you open that nomination up to the community at all, or just keep it internally?
We'll probably just keep it internal.
Okay.
Good.
We are in conversation with a couple of businesses to sponsor those awards so that we can be sure that there's a nice prize, I guess that's the word, to go with that, so people can really feel honored. So
Will that be at the high school then?
it will be.
At the auditorium?
I think we'll have the breakfast in the commons and then we'll go to the auditorium for the event.
Great.
That's what we have discussed. Thank you, Vic. Thanks for your help on that and the committee, which includes Carrie and Jill Zaz. They just happened to be there, but I think you guys should be the committee. Along with others will be on the committee for the selection. Okay. Back to you, Andrew.
Woo! A lot for you. Facilities report. CMBA, I see you here. You want to give us a quote, congratulations. You guys did awesome. And yeah, do you have a just quick little update on where you sit today or kind of what you're looking for us?
Joe's here.
Hey, Joe.
Hey.
Yeah. What'd you come in after? What'd you come in after?
The wedding was great.
Good.
Beautiful, a little bit of rain, but you're in it. So it was great.
Good.
We put together the letter agreement and started filing W-9 form paperwork that we need to have done. I did bring kind of a calendar that I want to start looking at dates possible if we can get in front of teachers soon.
April 18th, what are you doing? I'll need you to talk to
Will
Carrie.
that work?
Yeah.
April 18th will work.
Yeah, so before you leave, you might want to talk to Carrie about the
Let's talk
date.
about, some times and some things that we can do already that day.
Yep.
And then, I have some draft questions and a survey that could go out as well prior to that we can still meet with everyone, but still have that on their radar so that they can be getting that filled out. When we started thinking about timeline, when we heard from you guys, if we can get going on some of those PD days and then save some of our digging and discovery stuff for when teachers are gone, we're just kind of shift some things. We think that'll help get us off to a jump to get going into what we need to do.
Awesome. Sooner the better is what we like to hear. So
We're excited too.
So question for you, Courtney, we talked about having just a core team on our side to work with you. And it's gonna be Josh and myself, Christine, and then Christine's gonna have probably 1 or 2 from her admin team, just core group. But would we have a chance to kind of align or level set before you kick everything off, just so that we're all communicating the same thing?
Yes.
And we're fully supportive of if that works for the PD day next Monday, let's go. So it's just a matter of, could we have a check-in, and that could be virtual for that matter.
Yeah, we could jump on a Zoom call.
And I don't know if that, we don't want to burden the process with meetings just for meeting's sake, but I think it'd be good to make sure we're aligned with the board and Christine and a couple of her team members and maybe just schedule some check-ins along the way, especially during this, first 6 weeks of the discovery process. Because we're hoping that reaches a lot of people, but it'll probably stir up a lot of questions, and then we all want to be having the same answer,
That's right.
right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Chrissy would appreciate that.
Yeah.
As well as what she said, so.
Well, and the only thing I would say too is that if the 18th is too soon, we do have days in May that we could also come back to.
Okay.
So I don't wanna rush it to run, just because that date is coming.
Right.
If a week is too soon and we need to wait till May, as far as the process, we have that available, is what I'm saying. But the process, you would know whether that would work or not work for you.
Sure. Do you guys have time when you adjourn to talk through kind of schedule?
I do. Josh, are you?
I have to leave by 9:30.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'll make it.
As long as we do it by
You
then.
know this.
Andrew blew his average last week, so he's working.
I'm
get
trying to
shorter.
get going here.
Yes.
All these kids, we get a great presentation, and then just. Awesome. Well, thanks again. And I said, we look forward to working with you, and we got a great team here at district, so it's good.
Well, we were gonna say, does your architect need to go to Costa Rica, because we
That'd be fun.
could totally experience that as well,
Bring
know
that
what the
back.
students are being.
Outdoor learning environment.
Yeah, see, there we
After
go.
prom needed some helpers until 4 a.m., so you could have helped with that.
As long as I'm playing the puppy.
We could probably use your shop class too.
Yeah, they're pretty
right.
good. Awesome. Well, thanks again. Look forward to working with you. And again, if you want to stick around after, talk to Josh and tell him that'd be great. Bike pedestrian path. You guys saw the email. Sam is not here tonight from Tenfold, but they were having some issues on the concrete contractor. So I think they're gonna reach out to some other ones. So we're kind of just on hold right now.
Yep.
Is that the update?
That's what I have.
Yep, that's what I have as well. So any questions on that?
It's just all the grading and everything, that's still good. It's literally just forms of concrete.
I believe so. I
That's
think
my
that's,
understanding.
yep, they're just waiting to get a contractor. So then they're gonna reach out to a few more, they had a kind of a long list, and the goal is to get started soon, but just need to find somebody.
Their shop teacher know how to do concrete work?
It's a good question.
I know the kids
Find
probably do.
out. I bet he does.
Next item, you guys may have seen the transportation report in there. It was pretty lengthy. It was very good from De Novo. Do you want to give it just a brief
Sure.
update on
I
that?
will. I had an opportunity to go through this. Patrick from De Novo is not able to be here this evening. He called me, otherwise he would have been. A couple of takeaways from the information. One is it talks a little bit in here about maintenance and repair. I wanted to point that out. I know that Bruce spends a lot of time fixing things on our buses that he can and are within his talents and skills. And I'm very grateful to him for that. As you can see, we spent about $80,000 on that, and the average is about 112. So we save quite a bit of money when he's able to do that. When it reaches a point that's kind of beyond his skill, he's great about sending that out to wherever it needs to go in order for that to happen. The other big takeaway in here is we have a software system called Traversa that helps us with routing our drivers, routing where our kids are, and how to be the most efficient in that. And the recommendation out of this is that we're not utilizing that to its full capacity. And if we were able to do that through additional training, through additional support, it could potentially save us quite a bit of funds. So we'll be looking at that as we move forward about how to better utilize that program so that we are using it at its full capacity to help us make good decisions relating to that. With that in hand, the recommendation also was that if we use Traversa as it's designed, we could slow down the increase of our bus fleet. And maybe there are some other needs we have in transportation related to a truck or a van. We've got some pretty old pieces in there that we kind of keep making them work, that maybe we could take a year and fill those. So I'll be bringing more information back to you about that as we move forward. But those were the biggest takeaways as I read through, which I thought was a really great report about transportation.
my largest takeaway was our bus barn cannot house a bus.
Yes, that's the other big one. Thank you for saying
Just
that.
wanted to say that, the bus barn is not able to house a full-size bus. I'm
That
like,
is
well, that's not a
correct.
bus barn.
Yeah, that's a shed without a barn, without a bus in it, so.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the other big thing, is the facility itself is not doing the job it needs to be doing, so thank you for that answer.
No, I thought it was a good report. Any questions on it, Josh, Tyler? Anything you guys saw in that report?
No, and I think it's what you intended, right? To just get an overview, some
Yes.
options. At one point, and this was a number of years ago, we looked at, well, what would a leasing option look like, right? So I was curious, but I didn't see it in there. And not that we should necessarily go that direction, but that is where some districts go. And so then with these three options, we're currently status quo with option number one. And so it would be whether you want to bring forward to consider option 2 or 3, which would be over the course of a couple of years, right?
Yeah, I think really as I look at it, I haven't made a full, I'm not ready to bring a recommendation to you around that, but I will tell you, I have great concerns about our, what are they called, our auxiliary vehicles. They're pretty old and they have their own nicknames around here about it. And then they're picky about, well, don't drive that one to Des Moines and that's not anything kids are in. That's just our employees that might drive it for work purposes to move something from one school to another, things like that. So those are the things that we need to really look at. We have one employee that utilizes their own vehicle, pickup truck, to move our stuff, and we need to look at some of those things and maybe take a year to not purchase a bus, because we do have a good number in the fleet according to what Patrick has shared through the report, and that we could take a year and backfill with some of those pieces.
It's good. All right, next item, athletic fields. We are now back in growing season. What do you have for an update?
Okay, the athletic fields update, just, we are now working, Adam Popish, we are not working with him. He's moved on to a different company from Stern Construction. So we are working with Brent from Stern Construction. I had an initial meeting with him last week. It went very well. He has done a nice job of communicating, or Adam has done a nice job communicating with Brent about everything we've been working on. So I felt really good about that. And I'm appreciative to Adam Popish for sharing all that information with Brent. And we had a great conversation about what's happening and what things are taking place. In addition, I set up a meeting with all players I could think of related to the fields this week. That'll be taking place. So we make sure everyone knows who's on first and who's doing what. And I think that's Wednesday at 2 o'clock.
Awesome.
And so that it is growing season and that's what we're focused on all the way around. So we're hoping to see great growth and beautiful green grass in the fields and everybody helping us get there. So that is the latest that I have about the fields, unless Tyler, you have anything else to add related to that?
I mean, this is priority. I mean, we've got to open these fields up.
We are gonna have a grand opening of the fields. I keep saying it.
You're gonna meet out there on Wednesday.
Okay, let's do that. I can change that. Start the meeting at 2 o'clock.
Real when we see what's
That's right.
what's there.
That's right. Okay, I'll send out an information that we're gonna start the meeting out there, and then we can probably move into the high school or somewhere close by or something. To sit down and have a conversation about.
I would say in that, again, on the grounds report that Brett Randolph does for us, I'd like to see updates on those fields. I mean, I would say throughout the rest of the school year, just what has been done, what are we doing, what's, I mean, just on his report as well going forward.
I've also asked Mr. Pizzetti, our athletic director, to update me weekly based on with the coaches and with his walks out there. So we know what's happening, and I'll ask the same of Brett Randolph to make sure that we're all getting that information. So.
And then Tyler will be at the meeting on Wednesday?
Oh, well.
Okay, great.
We have 12 people that, I think I invited about 15 people, and a few people, Sam from Tenfold isn't able to be there, along with a few others. So there's some, but for the most part.
Baseball, softball coaches will be there. Awesome.
Baseball, softball
Great.
coaches, the athletic director, the Adam Fum from Iowa State,
Anybody from the boosters?
I almost said Arizona State. Iowa State, yes, I invited Butch to the
Butch,
meeting, so
perfect.
he'll be there. And then I asked Brett from Sterling Construction who he would like to have invited, so I made sure those were the people he would like to have as well.
All right,
So should be everybody that, you know, can help us get the fields open.
awesome. Thank you very much, Christine.
You're welcome.
She's gonna walk around with base or softball bat.
Maybe a plastic one.
My goal is not to have that athletic fields update again on the agenda at some point, so. it's been a
Oh, there'll
while.
be one more, and it'll be the video of opening day.
That's great. All right, on to old business. Do we have a motion to approve the 22-23 certified budget and levied property taxes for the fiscal year 22-23 for the regular program budget adjustment as allowed under section 257.14 Code of Iowa?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, budget has passed. Now on to new business. We have a request from Jordan Sitzma for the cheer team to attend the NCAA Nationals in Dallas, Texas on January 19th to 23rd of next year. Any comments on that, Christine?
No, very supportive of this. They're very excited about it, and I support this. The board would approve it.
We have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next, consider approval of Raptor Technology subscription services for 38 months for $10,514. And Vic, I think you have some comments on this?
Yeah, and Jason can help provide the gas on this. Basically what the Raptor system is, it's on-demand background checks that we can do at every school. So we're always looking for ways to keep our schools more safe, our students and staff more safe. This allows us to do background checks actually on site. So if you come in as a visitor, you hand your ID over to the secretary, they run it through the system, it runs it through the national database, kicks back a report whether it's good or not, if there's concerns, then it automatically contacts building administrators to come help address the issue. If you're good to go, it prints out a badge with your picture and your information, stick it right on your shirt, and you're free to go into school. So it's nice for people that are coming to do construction work in the building, we don't always know vendors. It's nice for people that are coming in to present to the school districts. We can use it for parents, employees, and all kinds of other ways. It's just one more way to kind of keep our schools a little more safe.
To add to that, when we did our construction, I was in charge of the background checks of all construction workers. And this would have been a time saver.
Yep.
So it will be great for future projects.
Yeah.
Each building will have their own kiosk where they check in at the front office, and so it's just gonna be a nice secure system. There's lots of school districts that use this software for the cost of it, of course, 38 months. And
Yeah.
what we're gonna get out of it is a really good.
It seems like a really good idea. I'm just curious, how many of those construction workers failed the background check? More than zero, it sounds like.
I had a couple, and it really put me in a really uncomfortable situation because when they did, I had one reach out to me, and it really made me uncomfortable because I can only tell them what information I had, and what I see was pass, and then there was like, well, this is supposed to be filed, and this is supposed to be on there, and like. Based on what I see is what the decision is. So unless you can, get something cleaned up, or something, I have to go off based on what I see. So a couple of times I was in a situation where I just really didn't feel comfortable. And, but you know what, overall, I think, there was probably 2 times that happened. So overall, considering how many workers we had on the site at any given time, that was probably pretty successful.
Yeah.
But it was very time consuming.
Yeah.
And costly too, because every time we ran it was $15.
Is there a per user fee on top of that, or is it just?
No, you get so many per year, they notify you if you're reaching that number. That's a pretty high number for what we'd be using. And we do have vendors and people that come to work in our schools all the time. Typically they just check in the door, we kind of trust them and, they're usually accompanied by maintenance staff, but it's just as an extra layer of protection. Not to mention anybody that comes to speak at the school or volunteer at the school, would also go through this, process. And the nice part is once you've done it, then you don't have to do it for, another period of time. So it's not like it's constantly running, it's just running against new.
Yeah.
And then after a certain number of years, they check you again. If you picked up anything.
Yeah.
It also synchronizes with our student management system. So if we have a parental concern or a custody concern, it'll say this parent is not allowed to see this child or so we can put in custom warnings on it as well.
Yeah, I love it. I'm just curious. It's one thing to say, sorry, your background, check didn't pass over the phone with some time in between. What happens when it's, sorry, your background check didn't pass, I can't let you in the building. Is there, we have to come up with a policy?
It's nice that it does notify administrators to come deal with the issue. So it's not, being put on the secretary of staff and somebody that's just working in the front counter. And, we do from time to time, employees, we have things that pop up from employees, we have to have tough discussions with them, but, I'd rather have a tough discussion with a random stranger than, have to say, I'm sorry, because we had this person walk here. We're 100% sure, so, yeah, it's obviously not comfortable. Just one of the things that interferes with pickup.
It seems like a great technology.
Yeah, Amy Griffin, principal here at the intermediate school, she was a part of this whole process as well. And so I was glad to have her voice at the table, knowing, she'd have to ask those questions or have to say to somebody. The other thing too is we'll have to make sure it's, and I'm sure Raptor's been through this, like a standardized thing we would say, like, I'm sorry, it didn't pass, and here's the Raptor number, if you want to call it. So it's not the principal saying that to somebody, it's like, we don't know why. Here's the, the difference is it'll just admit them or it won't. It's not going to tell us why. And that I think would make it easier. So that's between the person and, however it's determined. So that should help.
Subscriptions are by building, so it'd look like 4 subscriptions.
I don't know, I think it's just a fee for all of those.
Lined out at 4, so I was just curious if we need one for the district office, if that's a 5th, but we need to check into that.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I think it's more of a matter of buying equipment.
Yeah.
Once you buy, you have to buy equipment for multiple.
Could run that through intermediate too, if we need to. Good question.
Now they've got a unit price and then quantity for almost everything on that. So I'm just, if you need it for the district office, separate from the intermediate.
Okay, we'll look at that.
I move to approve.
Second, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
We actually started this process pre-COVID.
Oh, really?
Maybe call.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that we started investigating, had webinars, trying to get COVID in.
Wow.
So now it's nice to see it come back.
Yeah, I agree. Consider approval of the fiscal year 2021 district audit. Gail, you want to give an update on that?
Yeah. So the last board meeting, I had a concern that I brought to the board, but it wasn't a concern at all. So the audit was filed on time. There was no issues. It was actually filed and presented a year ago at the same time. They knew our concerns. I contacted them and we were their first audit when they're ready to resume full capacity. Always good. So we met all the timelines. We didn't have to use any of the letters that we had written. And so, so that was the good news. So overall, I just added some financial highlights. The news release in there, the Audit findings. Overall, I'm not really concerned about any of the audit findings. There was a total of 4. The one of segregation of duties on page 66, that is a yearly, and we just honestly do not have enough staff to fully implement segregation of duties. And then on page 67, the questionable expenditures. You know, in 1979, the Attorney General says we can't pay sales tax. But it is so hard when we have staff that goes travel and they get credit cards. And, you know, your chase, it's just too time consuming. And so, you know, if they have to find something in an audit, I guess we'll live with it. But, you know, there is time that is spent on maybe $1, $3 that we just don't have to. It's one thing to be proactive, and my response is, I'll keep telling the staff, don't pay tax, don't pay tax. But when you're at a restaurant and you tell the poor waitress, oh, we're tax exempt, you know, that doesn't really work. So, you know, we will definitely not pay tax when we can, but it happens. And so, unfortunately, on the credit card, it's way past 30 days out, and then you don't want to deal with it and have that reoccurring finance charge on not paying the sales tax. So to me, it's an issue that I really think is not an issue. And we'll just keep educating staff when they can do it and to be aware of it. On page 68 is one on the board minutes that the board exceeded every school year at the new board meeting. We name our banks and then we set a limit. And UMB, which is our bank for our bank notes or for our debt, we went over that last year because we refinanced, and then we forgot to increase it. They caught that. So when they caught that, then I was like, okay, so March 7th, I automatically raised, we approved, the board approved and raised it from 200,000 to $1 million to cover for the current year. So that should cover it. It's just basically at one point in time that it just can't go over that limit. So that's what page 68 is. And 69, the fourth comment was basically they thought that they want us to review our inactive student activity counts within the activity fund. Well, quite honestly, they may look inactive, but there wasn't a lot going on during the last couple of years of COVID. There wasn't a lot. So we felt after we reviewed them that it wasn't a good time to decide if those activity counts were inactive or not. So they could be in the future. I know the Spanish trip, they're going to go on a trip now. So in review, we didn't decide to eliminate any of those. So overall, not a bad audit, and everything was fine at the end of the day. When we got maybe with the short staff and the health issues, there was no issue at all. So that was nice. Everything was done on time.
Thank you very much, Gail. Do we have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2021 district audit?
So, second.
Further discussion? All I'll say quick is, Gail, great job. I know it's always a lot of work, the audit. Yeah, I know it's a ton of stress, but every year you guys do a great job. So thank you for all your work on that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next item, consider approval, the publication of a public hearing to amend current budget for fiscal year 2021-22 for Monday, May 9th
So
at 6 p.m.
yeah, so up here is what will be in the board, or excuse me, in the newspaper for amending our budget. So earlier I talked about when we had the budget hearing, it was the 4 areas that the board directs not to overspend and exceed in these 4 areas. Well, total other expenditures, because we are refinancing and we have to pay all of our debt off in 1 year instead of 30 years or 20 years, we're going to exceed our budget. So the philosophy is, if you're going to amend one line, you might as other lines just because it's the same process. So I went in and analyzed what the expenditure should be and what we spent last year, and I, just increased a few, mainly, and it may be, redundancy, but increased costs because of inflation and supply chain issues. We see it every day, whether it's additional shipping, fuel, costs on our supplies. So we feel that just adding some dollars in the other 3 areas, but mainly the refinancing, that this should be good. We'll have a hearing at the May board meeting, May 9th board meeting, and then you'll approve the budget amendment that night.
Awesome. Your motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next item, ratify the 22-23 collective bargaining contract with GEA. We still get a copy of that contract within the notes. Again, Christine mentioned earlier, 4.1% increase in overall total package.
Move to approve.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Next item, teacher placement on salary schedule 2022 through 2023. Again, another item in your notes, your packet.
This is the preliminary, if anybody's moving across with additional, that will be approved at the September meeting, so.
Move to approve.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passed. Gail, financial report.
Okay, overall, I'm really pleased with where we're at for the quarter. The end of the third quarter is here already, and we basically, as you can see in the blue, or excuse me, I'm not colorblind, the green and the red. We only have one area of red, but it's a monthly, so it's more of a timing thing. But overall, the year to date, it's really looking good for the quarterly for our general fund. So, and the overall property tax collection is on track, and year to date is above budget. Utility replacement tax, that's going to be an end of the year calculation. Tuition leveled out, and everybody's paid. That was last month, I brought that up. Revenues are tracking a little over budget, so year to gain on that. But overall, very pleased with the third quarter for general fund. And so if we bring up as you can see, there's only one area that is tracking a little over in expenditures, but overall, we're still under 263,000 year to date. So very, very pleased with that. And then we've talked about the 4 areas. I'll bring it up again that we're tracking for expenditures. This is the budget that we will be amending next month over here. But cash, we're doing very well on. We sold bonds. Actually, were sold April 1st. It doesn't show in here because this is March 31st. But April 1st, we actually had it was $8 million hit the bank account. So those bonds will be paid in May. So we will be able, that money will sit there, we'll be able to earn interest on it for just a short time. But then it's going to be paid out right away to pay off everything, and that'll be the end of May. Very successful refinance. Going forward, it'd be interesting to see what our options are.
Yeah.
Pretty good timing.
Yep,
Very
I
good
would
timing.
agree.
Very good.
Time that beautifully.
Overall, nutrition fund, let's talk about that just briefly. The highlight of this is that all salaries and benefits are paid for as of the end of March, as of the last payroll, which is March. So overall, even with all the salaries and benefits paid for, the position of cash wise for the nutrition fund compared to a year ago, look at that. You know, we had a lot of meetings that we were talking about the solvency, the balance, the, you know, how long was, you know, the cash gonna last, and so the position we're in is very, very good for where we're at. Very pleased with that. Deb does a great job. So.
Yes, she does.
And if I may just add to that, since we're talking about lunch balance, that is scheduled to change as far as the free lunch available through the federal government, that you go back to paying for lunch. However, there's also some information that's out there that there will be another bill that's coming forward to try to offset that. So we'll keep you informed as we go forward, but right now it's scheduled to go back to paying, everybody paying unless you fill out a free and reduced lunch application. And so we'll see where that goes.
So, other than that, the list of bills, I don't have any concerns with the list of bills and the financials, so unless somebody else has anything. Overall, a very good third quarter, and we're going into the home stretch of the fiscal year.
Another year. Any questions for Gail? All right, thank you, Gail, very much. Great job. Moving on to the consent agenda. Any need to be pulled, discussed?
Move to approve.
Second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consent agenda passes. Calendar, May 9th is our budget amendment hearing, followed by our regular board meeting. May 22nd, we discussed earlier, at 2 p.m. is high school graduation. May 31st is that employee recognition breakfast and presentation or afterwards. And then the next board meeting is June 13th at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.